We're recording.
We're recording. The Glory Friends podcast.
Episode number 1.
Welcome. Oh, welcome.
Finally have a name.
And it's a great one.
It is a glorious name for a bunch of friends.
Because we are glorious friends.
We had a lot of gross names that Laura did not want to use.
That is so true. There were a lot of names that were thrown
So she
out.
took a bunch of the gross ones and combined them with acceptable ones to find a good medium for all of us.
Yeah,
And now
I
you
did.
have our religious podcast, The Glory Friends.
Yep.
Yes, where we are going to talk about Jesus and the great things that he does for our lives.
So if you have an aunt who has an American flag profile picture and a Jesus cover photo on their Facebook page, please email them a link to this podcast.
Yes. Immediately.
Did you guys see that video of that Kid Rock concert in Grand Rapids where he was like given like a political speech?
Yeah, I did. When I heard him say the words redistribution of wealth, I felt like I was going to die.
I didn't actually watch it, but
the funniest part was when he said he was saying like people saying that he's racist. He's like, and that they're wrong. He's like, the KKK can fuck off and die. And then he like steps out from behind the podium and the band just like, everybody just goes, Burr! And he does this big pelvic thrust, like synced up with the band. Then he gets back behind the podium and the big screen behind him just turned to Jesus. He goes, nah, I know Jesus is watching down on us. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
It's astounding to me. I just come to the conclusion that, we literally can't tell the difference between good people and bad people, I guess, at this point. People are unable to be like, oh, that guy is a complete douchebag. What the fuck? Instead, they're like, totally what he has to say.
it's just way too convoluted. Like we've blurred good and bad so much that it's virtually impossible for like normal people to just be like, oh yeah, that guy's a piece of shit.
Yep.
That's like, I know everybody's like, leading up to Trump winning and stuff. Everyone's like, oh, Idiocracy is real. That was the closest I've seen to like a scene from Idiocracy.
Absolutely.
Being played out in real life. Like that was just as good as Terry Crews pulling out a machine gun as President Camacho.
to celebrate. Like,
Oh, man, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Man.
It's just crazy. We watch American Horror Story, and we like DVR'd the first episode, and we finally watched it last night, and it's just kind of ridiculous. Like the whole premise so far is based around Trump winning the presidency and people just losing their minds. Like that's just that is American Horror Story this season, pretty much.
So it's just real life.
It's just real life. Yeah.
I watched a few seasons of that show. I am not a fan of horror movies or gory stuff at all. So I found a lot of it to be very disturbing. But the scene of Jessica Lange singing The Name Game, I could watch that over and over. It's one of my favorite scenes in all of television, where they're in like an insane asylum.
Yeah, okay. that was I believe 2.
That was... I welled up. Like, I just was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I love this so much.
I think that was my favorite season.
I only watched the witchcraft season.
Yeah, a lot of people say that was the best season. I didn't love it. I liked the Insane Asylum one.
So bad.
I didn't see it, but also I didn't watch it because I was told there was no song and dance. So it's like, I'm out.
All right, this is renamed to the American Horror Story Review Hour.
Fantastic. I will be so useful for this podcast.
Do you guys like or hate American Horror Story? Ray still hates it.
I'm on the fence.
Laura,
I really don't care.
Scene.
Yeah. Jessica Lange can sing me The Name Game any day. The woman who is in several seasons of American Horror Story was also in that O.J. Simpson thing. Did you guys watch that?
Yeah, the O.J. Simpson one?
Yeah,
I watched it.
I am very behind on pop culture. I don't watch a lot of television, but I did just finish watching this. And oh my God. First of all, the whole thing should just be called Marcia Clark's Very Good, No Bad, Horrible Day. Like, that's what the show should have been called, for real. Honestly, the episode, it was called Marcia was the name of the episode, where like she gets the new hairstyle and, you know, the little tiny Jerry curl, and then she goes in.
How cheesy was that?
It destroyed me. I'll be honest. I couldn't watch the next 2 episodes because I felt so sad for her and so upset. I just was like, oh, this poor fucking woman.
See, I was a kid like when the trial was going on, so I was like, man, I didn't realize like how she was being treated. Like,
I also didn't realize that. Looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, I did. I do remember hearing a lot of comments.
She's
about
a
her
prosecutor,
appearance.
and they're like, her hair is ugly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I had awareness that the prosecutors were not being like treated great, but I didn't like really understand the magnitude of it. I was too young.
Right.
Yeah.
But like looking back at it now, you know, it's like, holy shit, like that was so one-sided.
Honestly, one thing it did, like after I was done watching it, I was like, okay, well, I'm surprised that we lasted this long as far as like Donald Trump and all this stuff is concerned. I'm like, we've been going down the tubes for a while now. That was living proof right there.
Yeah.
It made me feel very despondent. I mean, I do remember the trial when I was in high school, and my dad was a criminal justice professor. And so he was like really into criminology and stuff. And he was paying very close attention to this and past, you know, the sensationalism in the headlines, like paying attention to the actual details. And I remember him telling me, like, this guy cut his ex-wife's head almost off. Like, the blood evidence is extremely, like, just apparent and obvious and in large quantities. And, like, they have so much physical evidence, and yet it's now become this crazy media circus. I mean, even just the tapes of her, like the 911 tapes, like I remember hearing those when I was in high school and just feeling physically ill and being like,
the ones where she's like, he's gonna kill me.
Yes.
Like she's telling them.
Yeah.
and my dad was telling me, I can't remember, one of the books he read about it, he was like, there are accounts of like her, like I guess a police officer physically like watched them get in a fight in a parking lot somewhere and him just push her with all of his might out of the car and start to drive away. And the guy didn't like pull him over like for domestic violence or anything, but stopped him and said, "Get your wife and take her home." I was like, God damn.
The cops wanted to like be his friend. He was OJ.
Right, which is why it's so ironic that it was like,
I think the most disappointing
the
thing,
cops are trying to frame him. It's like, well, actually, that's probably not in any way what's happening here.
I think the most disappointing thing by far is the lack of addressing this on Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Thank you. And here's another, as I mentioned, not a pop culture person, don't keep up. I remember the first time I heard about the Kardashians. It was when they crashed some maybe inaugural ball or something that the Obamas had when they first moved into the Oval Office and Obama became president. And there was this thing like the Kardashian family uninvited crashes White House party. And I remember asking someone I worked with, well, who were they? What's the Kardashian family? And I remember them saying, oh, they're just famous for being famous. And I was like, oh, that's fucking stupid. And so I never paid attention to them because I was like, I don't care about those people. And then after watching this, I was like,
I should have been paying attention all this time.
They are famous because like a quasi relative of theirs is a murderer. That's why they're famous?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's crazy.
The scene where Robert Kardashian is like has all the kids out for breakfast and he's like trying to explain to them like, but I thought it was super cheesy how he's like, now Courtney and Kim and Rob and like
honestly though, if he hadn't been that obvious, I would have missed it because that's when I was like, oh, holy shit. Oh my God. That's why these people are famous. The world, how has it lasted this long?
The prequel, it's the prequel to Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
For real. Yeah. The bloody American Horror Story prequel.
It's their Wolverine origins. It's the OJ trial.
Oh man. I don't know. I think I sent you guys the link, but like I was on YouTube one night just watching clips, and in my like in the side, like the related videos thing, came up that that episode of Diff'rent Strokes, the molester episode came up, And it was like the weirdest. Like I watched it, and I'm just like, this isn't right. Like
I
this
remember
is
watching that when I was a kid.
It's crazy. Like the guy, so Arnold and Mr. Drummond are going to this bike shop after school every day because they've got a bike on layaway for Arnold or something.
And who's Mr. Drummond? Remind me.
He was the overlord that adopted Arnold.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what he is? Overlord? That sounds satanic.
He was a rich white guy that adopted two like black kids from the ghetto. Like what else could he be? Like
I know. I totally was like, yeah, that's the right word. Keep going.
Yeah. So like Mr. Drummond was the guy that adopted Arnold and his brother, and they're going to this bike shop because they have like he's got the bike on layaway or whatever. And the guy that runs the bike shop is just this like older guy who's just like super good with kids and whatever. And it turns out like he's a molester, and he lures Arnold and his best friend back into like his apartment in the back of the shop. Like he has a whole, like where the office is supposed to be is just like a big ass apartment. So he lures them back in there.
You live at your work. Yeah.
Also, if you're good with kids and stuff.
Yeah. Anyone who like enjoys the company of children.
Yeah.
Questionable.
Should be questioned.
Yeah.
It is suspicious if you have a way with children.
Yeah. I think it's more so the combination of being good with children and having an apartment in the place that you work.
Yeah.
I think it's more so that combination.
You better not drive like a panel van.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, he gets the two of them back in this apartment, and he's like clearly like seducing them. And every time he drops like some kind of like witty like pickup line, there's a laugh track, and I'm like, this is not funny. Like,
Wow.
It's like they're like showing like how good he is at trickery. Like, oh, even the audience isn't onto him yet.
Right.
They just think he's charming still.
yeah, I mean,
Good
he's
with
like
kids.
He's like saying things like, "Oh, you know what we should do? We should jump on my bed with our shirts off." And like I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Let's see how much bigger my wiener is than yours.
The audience loves this. Let's see how far these kids will go.
He literally brings up a game. I can't remember what the name of the game was. He says the name of the game. I can't remember what it was.
Let's
the
touch
game,
our tips.
The game, the game is basically them riding him around the apartment like he's a horse.
Wow.
That's a fun game you play with kids.
Yeah.
It's called Get On Top of Me.
I'm just watching this and I'm like I get that you're trying to bring awareness to this, but like you're doing it in the sloppiest way possible.
Every sitcom when I was a kid had a serious like fucking
Totally.
Mr. Belvedere had one.
What was that one?
I think it was the kid Adam. He got molested by a scoutmaster.
I never saw that.
And I've seen so many molestation episodes.
I can't think of any specific ones, but I also totally remember, that message being very strong, like back in the 80s. Stranger danger, not getting into anyone's car, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it was a product of like the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
I remember in school, people talking to us about strangers in elementary school. And I remember them telling us, like if you're ever in a public place and an adult tries to take you away from your parents or the environment, what you should do is say as loud as you can, "You're not my mom," or "You're not my dad," and then run. And I just thought, I could totally use this on my own parents. Like, this might not be good information to give to kids, because I was like seeing myself at the mall and seeing my parents giving me a hard time, being like, "I'm going to fuck you so bad right now. You are in so much trouble. This is not my dad."
This is the beginning of that South Park episode when they have all their parents arrested and then
Yes.
the town is just run by the kids.
Yes. Yeah, I just was like, I could use this for evil. I can see where this could fit. But they also told us, and I think this is good advice, that people should tell their kids that if you do get lost in a public place, look for a woman with a kid. That woman is very unlikely to be a child molester and will probably help you.
Or just look for
Unless
Yeah, or if nothing else, a woman. But a woman with a kid, probably a good bet to go up to as a lost child.
I remember one time I was at a outdoor flea market with my parents when I was a kid, and I just wasn't paying attention, and I just like started walking with this other couple, and And I'm just like going. And then I look up to like tell my dad something and it's not my dad. And I just fucking just like sheer panic. And
Yeah.
I've did it a couple times, like not paying attention. And every time that I did it, my dad saw me do it and just let me go.
So he's going to
And
learn.
I'm like looking around, and I would just see him looking at me laughing. And I'm like, why did you do that? And he was like, well, you're not going to learn until you see, like, then you'll pay attention. Like, he just thought it was fun. I'm going to let Raymond wander off with this couple for a little while.
Poor little Raymond gets kidnapped, is gone for months being kept prisoner, finally gets set free. And his dad's like, let that be a lesson to you, son. I saw them pick you up and put you in their van.
His dad's on the news just like, he's not going to learn unless he gets kidnapped.
Like, it'd be fucked up if my dad tried to do that, but then he kind of lost sight, and then I got kidnapped, and then he had to tell the cops, like, well, I saw it happen initially, but I was going to let him learn a lesson for a little bit. And then it just kind of got out of hand.
Kind of went off the rails.
I lost control of the situation.
Oh, parenting awards all around for your dad, yet again. I do think it's a bad idea, though, to tell kids don't trust any adult strangers, just because you do run into that where, like, I remember being lost at Meijer from my mom, only for a few minutes, but long enough to feel that sense of panic, and then having a very nice old lady come up to me and say, oh, honey, are you lost? And me thinking, like, she's going to kill me. You know, like, she's a stranger. She's an adult. I'm not supposed to talk to people I don't know.
I equated the word stranger with just monster.
Yeah. To me, it was any adult I don't know has nefarious intentions.
Yeah.
Or like they walk up to me, like, or like in like stories and stuff, like they always look nefarious. Mm-hmm. Like if a stranger walked up to me, I'm like, you don't have a black trench coat and black hat on.
And you have candy? Let's go.
Do you guys remember Funko-Land?
No.
Yeah, was it a video game? Video game.
Yeah, video game play. It's like GameStop. They used to have like the video game system. Like you could go there and play the video games.
Like an arcade?
Well, it was a store. They sold like PlayStation games, but
they had like you could try it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like my mom used to go shopping at TJ Maxx, and there was a Funko-Land like right by the TJ Maxx.
Fuck yeah,
so
TJ
I would
Maxx
go.
Rules.
So I would go.
Shout out to TJ Maxx. This episode is sponsored by TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
If ever you'd like to go someplace where nothing is in any order and they only have one of each thing, please check out TJ Maxx.
That's what a Maxxinista is. Like, you know, the random stocking situation.
And now back to the story.
Yep. Back to you, Alex.
So my mom would go shopping at TJ Maxx, and I would just go to Funko-Land. And one time she was shopping for so long, and I was in Funko-Land for so long just playing video games that the employees came up to me and were like, excuse me, did your parents forget you here?
Oh, man.
And you're like, shut the fuck up. My mom knows where I'm at.
Yeah.
They're like, because it wouldn't be the first time. It happens almost once a week.
It's like, I'm about to beat Altered Beast. Leave me alone.
Do you guys remember the like the blue helping hand signs that were like in people's windows, like saying that they were like a safe house if you needed help?
No.
It was like a blue hand, and they would put them in the window, and it was like a campaign where like if you were outside and something bad was happening, you could run to a house that had that blue helping hand.
Wow.
I had to do that once. It was we were it was like the first year my parents let me go trick-or-treating with just my friends.
Ooh, how old were you?
6th grade.
Okay.
And might have been 7th grade. It was 6th or 7th grade. And I was with we had 4 of us, me and 3 of my friends, and we went through, did like all our trick-or-treating, and like towards the end, this group of older kids were following us. And we were walking through the park to go to my house. We were going to all spend the night at one of my friend's house. So we were about to split off into 2 pairs to go to our parents' house and be like, oh, we're going to spend a night at this kid's house. As soon as we split off, the group of kids just followed me and my one friend that were going to my house, and they were going to steal our bags.
Oh, wow.
And they were all in costumes, so it was like extra scary. Like one was a devil, and one I'm like, so these fucking big ass kids like dressed up like demons. They just start fucking running after us. So me and my friend, we were starting to run to my house. We weren't gonna make it. They were gonna catch us. So there was this old couple that lived around the block from me, and they had one of those signs in the window, and I remembered it from always seeing it.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, we're just going to run to that old lady's house. And we didn't even fucking knock. We just fucking stormed into this old lady's house and fucking slammed the door behind us. And she was like, what's going on? I was like, you guys are trying to get our bags. They're going to beat us up. I remember it was the first time I'd run so fast that I almost threw up in this lady's house. Like I was talking and like in between telling her what's going on, I was like, So she's like, here, call your parents. So I called my dad, and my dad being the fucking insane person, he didn't even come to the house to get us. He went right to the park to go beat the kids.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
So him and my older brother like caught the kids in the baseball diamond that's in the park by my house. And they were like, my dad just starts fucking questioning them. You know, that was my son. So we left the house.
So they did not get your candy though, right?
No, no, they're going to pry that candy from my dead cold fat fingers. So me and my friend leave the house and we go to the park, and my dad and my brother there's like a group of 5 kids, and this one kid is getting particularly mouthy with my dad. Ooh. And my dad is like not good at burns and comebacks, but he will fucking beat the shit out of somebody. So my dad called the kid a bozo. Like that was this. He's like, you're a bozo. And the kid started laughing at him. He's like, bozo. And the kid grabbed his dick and he's like, I got your bozo hanging right here, old man.
Wow.
My dad pushed this kid like 2-handed in his chest. And this kid fucking was about 4 feet in the air, completely parallel to the ground. Flew like a cartoon, landed on his ass, and then slid like another 5 feet. Like he just fucking launched him, just like it looked like he blasted him with energy. And I was like, and my dad was going in for the kill, like he had his fist back, like he's going in to fucking light this kid up. This kid was probably 17, 18 years old. And my brother had to grab, he's like, Dad, don't fucking. While this was all going on, the old people were calling the cops. So the cops had come in, and it was like an old cop, and they were trying to get my dad into trouble for like pushing the kid. And the cop was like, it was like an old cop, and he's like, he knew they were like punk ass kids. And he was like, shut the fuck up. And he just told my dad to go home, and he took all the kids into the police station.
Wow. That's amazing.
I still vividly remember like how high in the air that kid was. And just because my dad was fucking strong as fuck. Like he just fucking, it looked like he just shot him and he just went.
That's amazing.
You just shot him Street Fighter style.
That has happened several times where like something has happened to me, and like instead of like coming to see how I am, my dad is just going to the person to just fucking.
Well, you just got to go right to the source.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm going to get him.
That's amazing. Oh, that story made me happy.
Well, has your dad ever gotten in trouble with the law for fighting?
Oh, yeah, God, yeah.
How many times has he been arrested? Or
I don't know if he's ever like been arrested, but he's had the cops called on him for like just ever since he grew up in a family with 4 brothers and 5 sisters, and like they grew up in the projects in Detroit. So he like fought every day of his life, just neighborhood kids. And then as he got older, he was just like, that's just still how I do things. I was telling my girlfriend a story the other day. My brother has this story. My older brother was with him when he did this. It was when Perry Drugs were still around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He went there to go pick up a prescription, and sometimes like it's my dad's reaction to things. You can see like I know beating someone up is not the answer, but you can see like, all right, that guy pushed him pretty far. Sometimes my dad's just having a fucking shitty day and he will fucking take it out on somebody. And this guy just must have parked too close to his car or something. And like he came out and the guy was sitting in his car. So my dad went around to the passenger side of the car and the guy's window was down. And he starts, what the fuck are you parking so close for? The guy had a German Shepherd with him and he tried to sick the dog on my dad. And my dad just punched the fucking dog in the face. I go, what happened? He's like, he just laid down on the front seat. And my brother was like, I cannot believe, like he just full on just blasted this dog right in the nose. Jesus Christ.
Poor pup. It's not his fault. His
No,
dad's
it's
an
not.
asshole.
His owner should have known how crazy my fucking dad was.
Wow.
Well, if he didn't know at the time, he knows now.
Yeah, he knows.
I mean, whose dad hasn't punched a German Shepherd in the face? Who among us?
And I'm a kid, so they're like, they come home and they're telling us the story, you know, and I'm like, I go, what did you say after? I go, what'd you say to the guy after you hit his dog? He's like, I told him he's fucking next. I was like, you're fucking.
It would have been funny if your dad punched him in the face, then he just laid down on the seat.
But yeah, my dad also hates law enforcement. So like if there is a situation where like there's like an argument or something and like my dad probably should have like went and called the cops, his rationale is cops aren't going to fucking do anything anyways. I'm just going to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And if the cops do come, he usually yells at them and tells them to leave, which doesn't go over well.
That's weird.
Yeah.
My dad also, I watched a lot of Clint Eastwood and Charles Bronson movies with my dad when I was a kid, and I think he thinks he's Charles Bronson in Death Wish, where he can just be a vigilante. Why call the cops? I can just, I'll just kill the rapist.
I can just take out the 12 rapists myself.
I can't
I'll
even
kill
imagine
Jeff
it being
Goldblum.
like, my dad is like Charles Bronson in Death Wish. I don't even know. I don't know. My dad's like, it's like Steve Gutenberg in Short Circuit. I don't know. Something like that, maybe. I have no idea. What's his name? Rick Moranis? And Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? That's more my dad was like.
When I was a kid, people legitimately thought my dad was Sylvester Stallone.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he was like a spitting image of
I
Sylvester.
can kind of see how you could have a father that looks maybe like Sylvester
Yeah, like
Stallone.
not so much anymore, but like when they were both young, because he's about the same age as Sylvester Stallone. But
And they're from, where are you from? Is it
Serbia.
Serbia. I always want to say Bosnia.
Oh, you're
So he
trying to
probably
start some
dressed
kind of-
like Sylvester Stallone.
yeah,
in Cobra.
oh yeah, for sure, yeah.
Like
He always-
leather jacket,
leather
white
jacket,
beater,
yeah.
fingerless gloves.
for sure, yeah.
Did your dad
Like
wear fingerless gloves?
stonewashed
Yeah,
jeans,
that's how
yeah.
immigrants dressed in the 80s.
Yeah, that's for sure. My dad, and my mom were shopping like right before they got married. They were getting like gifts for all the people in like the bridal party, and they went into a store at Oakland Mall. And I remember my mom was telling me there were a bunch of black guys working in the store, and they were all just like whispering to each other, "Rocky, it's Rocky over there."
That's amazing. Did he really wear fingerless gloves?
He didn't wear fingerless gloves, but he had the
Man,
leather
I'm so
jacket.
excited.
He would wear the leather jackets and with
great.
like jeans and like just
Gold
like a
chain.
t-shirt or something.
Yeah, gold chain.
No, he didn't wear gold chain. Well, not like a big gold chain, just like the small, like the thin.
Tasteful gold
Yeah,
chain.
yeah, you know, classy. he would always in the summertime
Rope chain with a giant cross on it.
in the summertime he would always roll his cigarettes up in his like t-shirt sleeve.
My dad used to do that move. Yeah, my dad never got mistaken for Sylvester Stallone, but he would fight people in alleys all the time.
Your dad was mistaken for Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator after the skin got pulled off.
Laura, your dad didn't like to fight people?
No, I can't even imagine my dad fighting somebody. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it never happened in his life, but I mean, my dad had a bad temper sometimes and like get upset, but not like, I never saw him like hurt somebody or like start a fight with somebody, like anything like that. Like he could get, like, I mean, I saw him like break a telephone that he couldn't figure out how to work. Like he was trying to change the battery in a cordless phone and it
So
was
he
like,
hated technology.
yeah, so he was like, motherfucker, and like smashed it on the table until it broke. You know, dumb shit like that. But I can't even imagine.
Man, I
Phone,
can
make
only
man.
My dad was not a macho guy.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how he feels about the iPhone.
He loved the iPhone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my dad, for some reason.
So he didn't like low tech.
I guess, yeah. Once Apple came around, he loved Steve Jobs and had,
Like, this is what I've been waiting for.
yeah, like
This
the
bell ringing shit.
2 Christmases, like we had 2 Christmases before he died, he bought all of us iPads. Like there's no way he could afford this. Like I remember we were opening them being like, what the fuck? Why did you buy us these? Holy shit. Which is our way of saying, thank you so much. We appreciate your
We
generosity.
don't deserve this.
Yeah. But he was just so enamored with Steve Jobs and, you know, he would quote him all the time and stuff. And yeah, he really liked that. I don't know why exactly what his deal was with him, but
Wasn't Steve Jobs like a really shitty, like, in his personal life though? Wasn't he like a bad dad to like a daughter, like pretending like?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard that, but I don't know if it's so much like, and I have no idea. I haven't done any reading, but from what I hear from people, it just sounds like he was just not around.
Yeah.
Like that's weird.
And maybe
you know,
like kind of
Apple.
cold, but not like he was.
Sorry,
beating
I
the
was
shit out of
busy
his kid.
changing the world.
Yeah. It sometimes sounds like people are trying to make him out to have been like physically abusive or something, but nothing that I've read, and I haven't read a lot. But
or just I just heard like he was like, you treated her like she didn't matter. Like
right.
You're not even like you're not my daughter.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You're not gonna.
No, he denied that he had a daughter until DNA testing, until she was like 14 or 15.
Oh, so was it like an illegitimate like a relationship?
Yeah.
So he just didn't. So he just didn't believe that she was his.
He didn't acknowledge it. Wouldn't even bother until.
Mike is scooping in with some douche facts here, and it sounds like Steve Jobs is a dick face.
And by the way, this
Mike,
is
our engineer.
Yeah. We didn't
Thank you, Mike.
even introduce ourselves at the beginning.
Everybody knows who we are. Come on.
Yeah, world famous Detroit comedians.
Only our friends are going to listen to this anyways.
Yeah, but what happens like a year from now when we've got,
More friends?
I don't see that happening.
You guys aren't thinking like Steve Jobs right now.
No, that's why I live in South Warren.
Yep.
Because I've never felt like Steve Jobs in my life.
And we're recording this on the first football Sunday of the year because we stand with Colin Kaepernick and are boycotting the NFL.
We all knelt. Does that kneeled?
Kneel? I don't know. I think it's kneeled.
I honestly, from the setup of this room, I'm the only person boycotting this game because the television is on mute, and I am sitting with my back to it right now.
Laura, you're taking down the fourth wall right now. We need to.
I have to.
Maintain
I think
the
it's
illusion.
important.
Laura's protesting the national anthem and football in general.
Yeah. I've never given a shit about football, so it's really easy for me to be like, fuck football. But seriously, with this, like...
That's how I feel about the national anthem.
Yeah, exactly.
All this stuff with the national anthem and with football, and I don't know. I just feel like, in general, the NFL is kind of filled with total assholes who don't seem to support like a majority of their own players and the people who watch their sport. So fuck them. Like I just would never support an organization that's like, he knelt during the national anthem. What a piece of shit. No, fuck you. Like I think that's a completely reasonable and okay thing to do for a protest.
There's not a good person in the whole league.
That's kind of what it seems like.
Even the people that run it are just fucking like greedy monsters anyways. Like it's just...
That is for sure. I mean, it's a money-making entity. Of course, that's what it's all about money. But it just seems like you could treat the people who play your sport, well and support them and not lose any money. I don't know. The whole thing makes me very frustrated and upset. But I also am like, well, obviously football is more important to people than equality in this country.
Yeah.
It's also more important than children. I mean, just based on what happened at Penn State. I mean, it really...
Hey, that's the fucking...
Yeah.
worst.
So to me, it's like, it shows through kind of like our ugly priorities as a society that we're like, no, football's more important than keeping children safe, keeping women safe, and racial equality. And that just blows my mind. But also it's like, yep, I guess that's the state of the world. So it just depresses me.
We're winning games, but this guy is fucking children in the showers.
Right.
What's hilarious
He's
about...
a good defensive coordinator.
Yeah, no shit. What?
What's hilarious about Penn State is they act as if like that's not still happening.
Yeah.
Like we just getting rid of those two. Like
Yeah.
that's all that needed to happen.
Is this
Right.
okay? Is
like
this fine?
Like the people at the head of the university didn't know that was going on.
I know.
Right.
It's
The
really so
program
shameful.
the program that brings in the most money to your university, you don't know what's going on there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you would be heroic enough to shut it down
Yeah.
if something like that
Yeah.
was going on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, obviously Sandusky and Paterno are giant pieces of shit, but like to act like these two were the only ones is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But to not act like that is to acknowledge a deeper societal problem. And we hate doing that.
Exactly.
It's so messy. Yeah, really, the whole thing kind of bums me the fuck out. So I try not to talk to people about football who like it because I'm like, well, my opinions are very different than yours. We were talking, my girlfriend and I were talking about this last night with O.J. Simpson and talking about how had that happened today, had that been like a current day case, there's no way they wouldn't have used a concussion defense. Like, absolutely. They would have been like, it's concussion. That's why this happened.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that that's necessarily even wrong, because I do think some of these horrible, violent things we see happen, part of it is we're glorifying violence because football is the glorification of violence. But also because these people are suffering serious closed head injuries. There's no way that's not causing some, kind of like frontal lobe damage that will send you into a fucking blind rage quicker than if you hadn't been hit about the head for literally your entire goddamn life.
Well, that's pretty much like the reason why that wrestler, Chris Benoit, did what he did.
CTE?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know the Chris Benoit
You'll have to fill
story?
me in a little bit here.
Chris Benoit was a wrestler. He was like in the mid 90s to mid 2000s.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
He was in there when I was still watching, so it had to be about
so
that
he
time
wrestled
frame.
for WCW and WWE, both of the big companies at the time. And his move was a top rope flying headbutt.
Oh, ouch.
And he did it tens of thousands of times probably. And while he was still wrestling, like top of his game, a champion in WWE, he killed his son, killed his wife, and then killed himself.
Yeah.
And when they did the autopsy and like looked at his brain, they were just like, they said he had the brain of like a 75-year-old Alzheimer's patient.
Jesus
Christ.
That's so horrifying. Ugh. That's how old I am. That's amazing. I mean, I don't know. And that's, again, another thing. The NFL being such an enormous juggernaut, societal juggernaut, that it's like, well, the sport is actually harming the people that are playing it to like irreparably. Oh, well, it seems like there's literally nothing that can stop it.
There's too much ad revenue. We can't stop this right now.
This is our heritage. This is history.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it. I've said God damn it a lot during this podcast, or at least during the football portion.
That'll be the name of the episode.
For
God
those
damn it.
listening to The Glory Friends because of its religious overtones, I apologize. And peace be with you.
I tried to get, like my daughter, she's 12. She really wants to play football. This is her third year playing on like a boys tackle league. And I tried to get her to not play. I also don't want to like tell her she can't do something, but I'm trying to explain to her like first 2 years might have been fun because you're like a younger kid and the coaches are more like, let's just go out there and have fun. I go, the older you get, the fucking meaner and shittier these coaches are going to get. Mm-hmm. And like she kind of saw it like her first game. She didn't play at all. There's her and there's one other girl on the team. They didn't play the two girls at all. Basically tell them at practice, like, you're girls, you're not supposed to be here. And I don't know if they're like trying to like do this reverse psychology thing to like toughen them up or whatever, but she's like not having fun.
Yeah, they totally have her best interest in mind. That's
well, I mean, but that's how fucking coaches think. Well, I'm going to motivate her by shitting on her. And I'm like, no, she's not like that.
They're children. You're working with children.
Well, these coaches...
Also, these coaches are just fucking people that played football their whole lives. Yeah. And we're only good at it enough to be like middle school coaches.
Right. Like, they're not mental giants, is what you're saying. I had that problem JV basketball. My coach on JV thought everyone was motivated by like being treated like shit.
Yeah.
So like he would always just ride me. Like he would start practicing with us. He was young enough to be able to still play with us.
Yeah.
And he would guard me and just like fucking like punch me and shit. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like one time he tried to do that to the kid who was like our best player on varsity. And he just smashed the ball right in his face. Just bam, just right on the bridge of his nose.
Did he break his nose?
He didn't break his nose, but he was bleeding, and he like walked off to the side.
Getting hit in the face with a fucking basketball sucks, dude.
Yeah, no, but he didn't throw it at him. He like literally just like two hands over the head, just smashed it down on his nose.
Wow.
Yeah, because he did that to everybody.
Yeah.
And like I almost didn't come back to play my junior year just because of him, and then he ended up getting fired, and so I was like, all right, I'll play.
Did you play sports in school, Laura, at all?
I did. I played. Well, in elementary school, my dad finagled my sister, my twin sister Deanne, onto a all boys soccer team when we were in elementary school, and they hated us.
It was like reverse ladybugs.
Oh, totally. Yeah. They did not want us there. It was not fun at all because these boys were just like, fuck you. Like they did not. We were old enough that they were just like, we don't want girls on our team. Probably the same age Ellie is, maybe a little younger.
Yeah.
We played defense only. Honestly, the only strong memories I have of soccer are being so elated and excited when it was snack time and it wasn't oranges. That was awesome. Like the moms that brought oranges, you could tell, you know, like right away when they're like, it's snack time. You're like, you're too prepared. This is oranges and raisins. I hate you. But the mom who like ran in with like the bag from the grocery store, like, fuck, I forgot it was my snack day. She had Little Debbie's. So that was always awesome, you know. And then I remember playing on a really muddy field and a boy pushing me to the ground, like, and then laughing at me and me being like, I fucking hate this. Why are we even doing this? And then I was on a softball team, which my dad finagled my sister and I onto, with girls that were at least 3 years older than us, which isn't a lot, except when you're the age we were, which was like we were in 6th grade and they were like going into 10th grade or something, or 9th grade. So that's enormous. And these girls, they were very nice to us, but you could tell they were like, why are these small children on our team?
Yeah.
And then I played basketball in junior high, and I really didn't like it because it was too competitive. And I also, honestly, as like a kid who didn't know necessarily that I was gay, but also knew like something was different about me, I just felt horribly uncomfortable in the locker room. Not in like a hey, checking out the girls. Never like that at all. Like really just horribly
Hey guys,
uncomfortable.
it's time to change. Let's go.
It's like that
Anybody
scene in
need help
Porky's,
with their
but I get
tops?
to be in
No,
the locker
nothing
room.
like that. I would go hide in the bathroom and change and then sneak out of the locker room as fast as I could, trying to avert eye contact. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't exactly know what it was, but I just knew like, I don't feel comfortable in here. I don't think I should be in here. And it just didn't, I hated it. And then I remember overhearing my coach once say that Deanne and I were on the team for comic relief.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So after that, I didn't really play any organized sports. And I was like, this is not for me. And that's when I realized like, oh no, band and drama and music, that's where I want to be.
I somehow was always the one that would like start a fight with the other team. I was not a fighter, but for some reason I was like,
have all these guys. You just instigate it, and you're like, all right, guys.
No. It wasn't even instigating. They would like, so for like, I was a skinny, scrawny little white kid, and we would always play like the PSL schools in basketball. So they would always try to pick on me, and we were scrimmaging like Cody one Saturday.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, the quarter was ending, and I kind of like ran up the sideline to get like a long pass, maybe get like a layup at the end. And so I'm going up the sideline. The guy guarding me, he's with me, and they loft the ball down the court, but they like kind of throw it out of bounds, and the buzzer goes off. After the buzzer goes off, this guy pushes me. So I pick up the ball and I turn around and I just chuck it at his back. And he turns around and gets in my face. Both benches clear. And like it was just like a little scuffle, and they broke it up and whatever. I turn around. You've met my friend Dave, right?
Yeah,
Ray?
yeah.
My friend Dave, he was just there watching. I turn around. Dave is standing right behind me with a steel chair, like WWF style, ready to start taking people out. But
funny.
yeah, that happened like maybe 2 or 3 times to me. Like somebody tried to like push me around and I didn't take it, and then we had like bench clearing, like pushing matches.
Yeah. I didn't play anything in high school. I played sports with my friends, but I hated like the competitive, like the coaches, it's just all fucking annoyed me.
Yeah.
I was in marching band in high school. That's how I got my gym credit for high school.
We got the ice cream truck showing up right now.
That's our theme song.
It's our cue.
I kind of love the idea of our theme song being like a horribly recorded ice cream truck jingle. It sounds great.
We'll
to
just
me.
isolate that and sample it and just fucking put it on the beginning of every episode. All right, you guys want to call the first episode?
I'm going to call the first episode a smashing success.
Yeah.
That's it. Hope you guys like the Glory Friends.
Yep. Glory
Ray,
friends and God bless.
Ray, Alex, Laura, and Engineer Mike.
See you guys later.